What's up, everyone? Yeah, I've been making a lot of videos summing up all these crazy experiences I've had in dissident circles. It's been really interesting, maybe a little disturbing, a little shocking, a little of everything. That podcast that I played and commented on last night with Norman Hobbs, that was like the craziest shit I've ever seen. I didn't have the chance to be disturbed by it because it was so fucking crazy and out there. That's what I was focused on. I don't know, I wasn't in the most talking mood right now, but I'm stuck in the car for a while on a drug run to Mexico. So I kind of wanted to sum up my thoughts that have crystallized lately, and I'm sure I'll still talk about it, the alt-right and whatever, but I'd like to talk about more normal things and more normal people as well, just for my sanity and other reasons. So yeah, I came in sympathetic. I talked about the Luke Ford show was suggested to me. So it was through that circus that I came in. A much different community that allows these dissident voices, even people that a lot of people would find objectionable and horrible people or whatever. The open Nazis or open white nationalists or whatever. But I thought that was really cool. I had a lot of sympathies for, because I'm against this politically correct, oppressive culture, anti-white, whatever culture that we're in the midst of, that we're drowning in right now. So that's kind of how it started. I go back and I look at my takes on the Luke Ford show, and I just think they're so bad, but I didn't know anything, right? So I had the most normie, horrible takes. It's embarrassing to listen to them when I go back, but it's fine. I didn't know any better. I didn't have strong opinions to say at the time, whereas, I do more so now. But that's totally fine, it is what it is. You want to go into an area of people to learn, but I don't know, it's I went in there against this anti-white bullshit. I think that's the catalyst for why a lot of people go in there. But I guess I wasn't prepared for the derangement and craziness of the anti-Jewish part. You know what I mean? It's I was excited a place where we could criticize Jews and Jewish identity and analyze them, and which is politically incorrect in other places. But of course, that ends up being a magnet for the Norman Hobbs of the world and OV and other similar people. It's like a gateway where they can come in and talk about their criticisms and viewpoints. They just have to tone it down a little bit, so they don't cross the line too much on a show like Luke's. And there's a lot of good things about a show and the freedom and stuff like that. But to actually be in a space like that, and you're required to respect or play fair or play ball with people who not only have these opinions, but are open advocates for kicking Jews out of the country, or worse, as we heard from Norman Hobbs the other day. And it's I dealt with that for a while, but it's betraying yourself. It's cucking, but even worse. It's betraying yourself and betraying your people. Now, I know these people don't have a large influence, most of them, but they do have some influence. And they're going to get disaffected people from across the internet. You know? So they do have an impact. It might not be that big. But it's not always about how many people they're reaching. It's about the intensity of the ideas being put forth. You know? And we're talking about some really intense, crazy ideas. So that's the dynamic. You have Jews mixing with Jew haters of various degrees. And, well, you're required to respect these people, or at least not hate them. Don't do certain things. But as time went by and I got to know these people more, I just find that I think they got more extreme over time as well. I just found that increasingly, like, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. So, and I refuse to, like, respect these people or abide by their rules or whatever. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly how it came about, but I used to just try to fuck with these people in the chats the way they would fuck with us. And it was at that point I started talking about how, you know, I believed in doxing, and doxing Nazis was funny and the right thing to do and justice. So this earned me the ire of many people. And then I just turned it up a couple notches to the point where when people say such and such a person was doxed, XYZ person was doxed, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I did that because it's the right thing to do. We're talking about doxing Nazis here. So that's how that whole thing came about. And then I would like, I couldn't resist. I would just make up stories about it. Like, this is how I got the information, this is how I did it, and that's just what I do. And I feel it's justified for XYZ. So this was really the origin of I call it like the dox apocalypse, of how all that shit started. But I would just fuck with people. I would go into the Wignat chat and say, like, oh, this person, like, oh yeah, Brundlefly just dropped this dox of this person. And I didn't even really know what the fuck I was doing at first. I was just fucking with people. And then I would go in another chat on like on a different screen name, what do you call it, like a sock account, and be like, yeah, Patrick Bateman is doxing Brundlefly, you know. And it caused total fucking pandemonium. Like, because doxing is it's like the sacred cow of these communities of the alt-right. It's like you can say whatever you want. You can talk about blowing up houses of worship or violence, or make whatever kind of edgy jokes you want. But when it comes to doxing, that's a fucking no-no. You don't talk about it. So that was the nature. That's how it started. That's what caused all the drama. That's what got me disowned, or that's why so many people wanted to not disown. What do you call it? Shun, basically. That's what caused people that wanted to shun me. You know, but I was like happy to break this taboo and thought it was funny. And when we're talking about people like Norvin, people like Melky, or as I call him, my new name for him is J. Crew Hitler. I don't know J. Crew Hitler any fucking respect with his online activities. Like, I never signed any terms of service to, like, how to treat such people and their online activities, which I've described plenty in other videos, and people know what they're about. So, like, that's how all that came about. And then, yeah, people tried to get me kicked out of the community, and a lot of it was either lies I said or lies they made up. It's just the way it works. It's like, reaction or action, counter reaction, verbal gymnastics. So, like, when people get doxxed, like Norvin got doxxed by Antifa, you see it goes around. You can see the actual dox, or like when Josh Neal gets doxxed, it's on Twitter. So I don't know what happened with some of the other people, but I definitely fucked around with it. Took credit in some cases. I'm trying to think where I want to go with this. But yeah, I got a lot out of my experience with the alt-right. Maybe I lost a lot of time, or it was a waste of time, or wasted energy, or whatever you want to call it. But I also learned a lot too. But, like, I don't know, there's something fucked up to me about Jews and anti-Semites. Like, it's not them talking, it's like them respecting each other. And to actually respect these people, I just didn't want to do it, couldn't do it, etc. I mean, if you look at, like, Luke Ford show, which was so interesting, like, a lot of good things you can say about that show. But also, I went back and looked at some of the shows that, like, Melky was on. I'm sorry, J. Crew Hitler. Talking about Mein Kampf. Talking about the culture of critique. They're kind of milquetoast other than the subject material. Well, what I think a show like that, it's networking, like, he's talking to Dennis Dale, and you get people like Norvin on there, and they form their own little echo chamber and influence each other. And like, Paul talked about this, but he didn't talk about this particular point. Like, I'm not sure it was Luke that influenced him necessarily, as in his own words. It was the show, you know what I mean? It was the peer pressure and the networking, and just there was a platform that was open to this dissident, like, subject material, whatever, So that's what and I think Luke's show is a lot different now. Like, he's learned. He doesn't necessarily want to promote that kind of anti-socialism, But it's like, I think the atmosphere is what created people like Melky. I'm sorry, J. Crew Hitler, or like Norvin influenced people. He probably recruited some people out of that. So it's like, this is what can happen when you're platforming such people, even if it's not your intention. It's a law of unintended consequences. And what else? I think there's a way to have somebody even as intense as, like, a Patrick Little on. I mean, you make the decision to platform him, okay, he's going to influence people. But you can challenge him, like networks have people they don't like on. They'll have conservatives or Nazis, but they challenge their beliefs. Like, that Martin guy had Richard Spencer on, Roland Martin. He had Richard Spencer on, but he challenged him. He got in his face. He asked him tough questions. Whereas, you know, you have Patrick Little on and you just kind of let him say what he wants to say and compliment him. You know, it's kind of different. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right line is, what's good, and exactly what's good versus what's bad, but it's something at least worth discussing and considering. So, like, that was my problem with that whole scene. I didn't want to respect these people. I don't respect these fucking people. At a minimum. I mean, I actually really fucking hate these people. And don't want to pay them any respect, and they don't like me. And, like, I don't want to be liked by them. And don't want to pay them or owe them any respect. So that's kind of just a high up overview of what I've seen, you know, and the way I feel now and how I evolved. But like, this alt-right is just a crazy disenchantment with modern day society and its anti-white nature, but then turning that against other groups and being the victim. And at its extreme end, you end up like Norvin Hobbes, who's saying we have to kill the Jews before they kill us. He's like, this is literally non-ironically what he's saying. And most people aren't that extreme, but they're somewhere in that neighborhood, you know, and it's just toxic. Like, it should be people coming together, cooperating to fight against the toxicity that we see in our culture, not creating a even more toxic counterculture to that, you know. So it's like, I don't want to talk to other white people who hate Jews, or like, I'll argue against them, I'll fight against them, but I'm not going to pay them any respect. It should be that should be part of the deal, right? Like, let's fight against this anti-white bullshit. But part of the deal is you can't fucking hate me for who I am. Otherwise, you know, that kind of defeats the purpose. So, but like, this phenomena is real. Like, Norvin Hobbes really does think. Norvin Hobbes and Trent Stoffel, who didn't come through Luke 4, so like, there was no influence there. But they think they gotta get rid of the Jews to survive. It's just, that's where this thinking ends, at the extreme end. It's just really insane and bizarre. So, how do I want to tie this up? Yeah, I learned a lot, but I just totally reject this toxic alt-right culture and want to fight against it and the people in it. Like, it's one thing to have beliefs, and it's another thing to be an activist and try to push these beliefs onto the vulnerable and ignorant of our society. And unfortunately, like many people in the Luke Ford sphere, that's what they're about, you know. And it's just the worst fucking people you could possibly imagine. I had been a part of other dissident, marginalized groups. Like, I talked to these black nationalist people, and they were pretty fucking whacked out of their mind. I mean, they talked like Nick Cannon, whatever the fuck his name is. But like, they had never talked about getting explicitly solutions like, you know, getting rid of white people or wiping white people off the face of the earth. Or I talked to some crazy feminists, but they had never talked about getting rid of men, like deporting all men or getting rid of men. It's just, the alt-right is a fucking special type of crazy. And yeah, I'm against it, that's all. Want to fight against it, want to argue against it. Even for my own pride, like, I know I hardly have any influence. That's not really the point. Like, it makes a little bit of a difference. But for me personally, it's the emotional, personal aspect that's the most important. Yeah, I think I made my point. I don't want to ramble too much. But that's basically a summary of where I am with the alt-right. So I'm still going to make more videos, but I would also like to talk about just more normie, everyday stuff. Not everything about the bullshit alt-right. So, everyone have a good day and a good weekend.